Hello everybody and welcome back to Operation Logistics, where we need to be implementing a menu for selecting one of the hexes that we own, specifically to modify elements of the building on it. Of course, for that to happen, we're going to need to implement elements of the building that are on it. But that's something we'll be working on here in just a moment. First, let's go ahead and grab the UI camera and pull it forward. That's not going to affect anything with regard to the UI camera. The only thing it's going to do is allow us to modify the canvas much more easily. So I'm going to go ahead and go into front ortho view for now. Actually, not ortho. Front perspective view will be fine. And come on. Ooh, that does not like to move. Okay, we're going to do it this way. So, we've now got this, and the question is, where on this screen do we want to put our menu that pops up? I'm thinking down here, because that's the obvious place to put it. That said, that's where our construction menu pops up. I mean, we could put it way up here, but that's kind of awkward. I think for right now, we're just going to go ahead. We can always move it later. We can just go ahead and place it over in this corner over here. So we're going to go ahead and have the pivot point be at 0, 0. And I'm thinking a width of around 300 should be sufficient. And then a height of about 350. That should be fine. I'm going to go ahead and take this over here. We're going to put it in about 10 pixels. And then its Y position will be right about here-ish, so about 50 pixels up. There we go. That's not too bad. We're going to go ahead and give it the UI sprite source image. And then the color... that didn't work. The color will be that. For now. There we go. Okay. So inside of this, we're going to need to make a decision on how we want this to be set up. So I think first things first, we should go ahead and name this X selection window. There is a W in window, a second W. So let's go ahead and put that. No. There we go. Okay. So now let's go ahead and do another UI image. We're going to have this be from the top. It's going to be a height of about 20 to 30. We'll go with 30 for now. We'll have this be input field background. And we are also going to have it be stretch, and we are going to stretch this. This pivot's fine, I think. Actually, we should have the Y pivot point be at 1, like so. So that we can just say, it's right at the top, but no, we're going to have it down 10 pixels, so -10. And then left will be about 10 pixels, and right will be about 10 pixels. And that is going to be our hex name field. So, hex name. And then we're going to go ahead and give that a text mesh pro text. I'm going to go ahead and make that be black. Size 36 is overkill. We're going to go with probably size 18 or so. Middle center. And we're going to have this thing be overall stretch. And it'll be 10 pixels on all sides. Top and bottom is too squished. 5 pixels on top and bottom, or maybe just 0 pixels. Yeah, that should be fine. In fact, we can stretch this the whole way. Maybe 5 pixels. Then maybe like 3 pixels top and bottom. Sure, that'll work. Okay, so this would be something along the lines of hex manager.selected hex. or rather, .selected building? How did I word this? No, it is selected hex. Okay. Seems fine. A little generic, but fine. So we'll go ahead and leave that the way it is. And then we're going to have down here, and this is just going to be the hex title from the hex tooltip. So in the building hex here, when we do on mouse over, we would set the tooltip to be the building name, which is currently, I believe, up here-ish. No? Okay, this is for clicking, but we would update the tooltips in building hex manager.subhexes hex ID building hex. Okay, so it's a separate function right here. So we're just going to have it be this tooltip title for now. We're going to change that later on, but we're going to need to have there be essentially two sections here. So let's go ahead and create a new UI image. And we're going to have one of these be this gray color. And that will be input field background as well. Then we're going to, whoops, don't want the event system in there. We're going to duplicate that. And this one will be white. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and have this be from the top. Yeah, that should be fine. But we also want it to be stretched. And then its position Y should be roughly... Oh, what's the height of this? Or rather, the height of this. Oh, and we want these to be outside of the hex name, actually. I do want the hex name on top in the hierarchy order, but more like this. There we go. Okay, so this is currently 95 pixels down. I'm going to have this be a Y of 1, so negative 45, so that we're working off of this position here. And this is a height of 30, so we have 10 pixels, 30, and 10 pixels, so it should be 50 pixels down. Like so. And then this is obviously going to be 10 and 10. And then the question is, how high do we want this to be? I think this is fine, the way it is right now. And then this one will be the same thing, but set up to stretch along the bottom. And it will be 10 pixels up. 10 and 10. And a height of... I mean, this is a total of 350 pixels. 10 pixels, 30 pixels, 10 pixels. So this is 50. This is 100. So that's 150, 160 pixels, and then 170 pixels. So what's 350 minus 170? Let's find out. 350 minus 170 is 180 pixels. So this is very close to right. There we go. 180. Perfect. So this is the info panel, and this is the interaction panel, like so. Okay, so what is actually contained in an info panel? Well, we're going to need a few statistics here, and these are things that we have not yet determined yet. Or not determined yet, this period. I do want to go into the tutorial and check what I said that the post office had. It's got one slot for a delivery vehicle, and it also can sort a small volume of mail. Okay. So. I think what we're going to need here is, like, we have sorting capacity up here for the building. For a lot of buildings, that's none. Like, we just have all of our data up in here. So let's go ahead and create a UI text mesh pro text. This will be a font size of 16, and it will definitely be black. There we go. We'll have this be stretched. 10 pixels all the way around. And for right now, this won't be pretty, but we can come back later on and adjust how this works. So this is going to go ahead and say something kind of along the lines of sorting capacity would be I don't know. Do we want to go for a realistic number or a more fun number? That's the question. And I'm afraid I don't know the answer to that quite yet. I think for now, we're going to go for a more fun number. We can always change it later on. So the sorting capacity of this first post office, I mean, this is just a default text right here, but I think we can go ahead and say the sorting capacity of a post office would be like 10 per, would it be hour or day? That's a good question. In order to get an answer to that, I need to get a feel for how long an hour is at the highest speed versus how long a day is at the highest speed. Let's go ahead and run this. Obviously there will be no significant changes because all we did was add in this UI element that doesn't actually do anything. I'm going to skip the tutorial and we are just going to... That's an hour. So an hour is quite short. About 1 second. A day is of course, at that point, about 24 seconds. Okay, I think we do go with the per hour. So sorting capacity is 1 per hour. They don't work very hard. But based on the timescale, that feels about right for an entry level to me. So that's our sorting capacity. Now, I think we need somewhere around 4 statistics here. So we've got our sorting capacity, which will often be not great. Loading capacity would be something kind of like... This should probably be in cubic meters per second, something like that. Or, well, not really per second. Per second is the player's time. This would be per hour. We'll go with, say, 30 cubic meters per hour. For right now. Does this have superscript ability? Like, what are these font styles? I'm pretty sure that this does actually have... Actually, now that I think about it, the hex name being small caps would work pretty well. Yeah, I like that. That's pretty good. So we've got our loading capacity there. And then vehicle capacity. Wow, I cannot type. Capacity. That would be simply 1 truck. However, this isn't really... Like, there's a difference between a delivery... a delivery vehicle and a truck, right? Maybe the delivery vehicle is included in the post office. Because a truck is specifically like a 18-wheeler that is used to transport bulk goods. So I think we'll go with 1 delivery vehicle. Total vehicle... Wow. Total vehicle... What's the term I want to use here? Because I don't want to invoke the idea that you can store multiple vehicles here. what I'm looking for is how much vehicle transportation capacity there is here. So I guess we could just call that... Oh my. Okay, there we go. Vehicle transportation capacity. Now that's too long. I suppose I could just call it transport capacity. That's still pretty long. If we ditch vehicle and just call it transport capacity, that's fine. And then a delivery vehicle would contain not many cubic meters. Like, I feel like this 30 cubic meters per hour is too high. Maybe more like 5 cubic meters per hour. With the transport capacity being maybe 10 cubic meters. Okay, that gives us a little bit of statistics there. Then, in the interaction panel, we're going to want to be able to interact with every vehicle that's in here. So I'm going to create an empty, and we are going to add a component, and this is going to be a layout group, specifically a grid layout group. And I'm just going to name this layout group, and then we are going to add in a single button for right now. So UI button, and I do want this, cell size is 100 by 100. That's not going to be the case forever. Question is, interesting layout. Okay. So we need to adjust the layout group for sure. Spacing of 0 is fine. Cell size of about 32 by 32? No, that's too small. 64 by 64? I guess that's okay. Start corner is in the upper left. I'd like to stretch this thing 10, 10, 10, 10. And ideally, I'd like to have spacing of 10. And I think the reason it was just going down before was because of the empty size. Okay. So a couple of things. One, I definitely want room for another row there. So let's go ahead and bring this down to 50 by 50. Okay, it's still not perfect. Maybe 60? Nope, 55? I mean, it's still not ideal, I suppose. Upper center is fine. I mean, we could have a fixed column count of 4. Like that. That actually looks pretty good. And then we just need to adjust the height of these. So rather than about 55, it could be about, or rather than about 50, it could be about 45? 47? Maybe 46. Yeah, that seems fine. So up to 12 buttons can fit in there? Seems good to me. Now, of course, we would only have the one button in there for right now. And I would like this to be constrained to the upper left because I want it to fill these in as it fills. And then essentially these are the buttons that you will press to get to the specific vehicle interactions. And from there you'll be able to assign vehicles to routes and things like that. I mean, that's mostly what you'd need to do, is assign the vehicle to a route, maybe set a frequency of running the route. The vehicle will have a particular fuel cost, and therefore a particular range based on the fuel, but that's okay. Well, this is definitely a good start. I think I'm going to go ahead and put a cut in here, and next episode we will work on implementing some of that. And also change the text in these buttons. That needs to happen. See you all next time.